Hey everyone. So I have been thinking about decision making, and in the context of work, and also in the context of personal life. And I try to simplify things and try to measure whether the approach that I am taking makes sense or not. So in today's video, I am gonna talk about some of the ways I like to take a look at some decisions that I'm gonna make. So let's go through it, and let's see if it is helpful. I don't think that I have a well-established formula for decision making, because there is a lot of context and depends a lot on circumstances. So the first way to look at any choice or any decision is to think in terms of time, whether the consequences of making a decision, taking a path, is long term or short term. And you can look at it from both ways, whether the positive is long term benefit, or if there is a risk which is gonna be realized, or which could have a long term impact or not. So you can look at it from both sides, from upside and downside both. And yeah, and in case of work, in case of business, um, this ties to the idea of strategic risk as strategic outcomes as well. So think, when you're thinking about long term and short term, think not only time but also bring that element of strategy, that is the strategic choice that you're making. The second one is uh, is about risk. So the other way you evaluate a decision is that whether it is the risk is very high or risk is low. So these are like two separate things. In case of time, it's about the risk has a lifespan. It could be short term, it could have a long term consequence. And the same with upside as well. In case of risk, what you're trying to do is to quantify the risk, whether the risk will have a very high magnitude, or it's a pretty kind of small risk, and then you can really manage it in a personal life and professional life as well. So think along that line as well, whether the risk is high or risk is low. And a lot of like daily and personal life as well, you can use it. The third one is another way of looking at these decisions and choices, which is pretty much related to risk, but it is pretty much action oriented. And think about it, that whether it is a reversible thing or irreversible thing. So if it is a reversible thing, uh, you know you might like to kind of just go ahead, in case the chances of upside is higher than the chances of low downside. So you can just go ahead. And if it is irreversible, then think about it, that how can you really test it out before you can release it, or before you can take that particular action. So think from the reversibility point of view. It's related to risk, but I think it's also something which can be really a powerful tool if you can also mix that element of upside versus downside, and you can start making right kind of gambles. If it is a reversible one, then just go ahead, and upside is high, just go ahead and make that change, make that call, and see if it is giving you the right results. If not, then kind of reverse it back. The next one is another way to kind of look at some choices, which is about in terms of cost and benefit. Just see if the investment that you're making, whether it has benefits associated with it, and whether these benefits can be quantified into something which can be compared with the cost. It could be time, it could be money, it could be anything else. So think from cost and benefit angle. And then another thing which you might like to keep it in your mind is that the idea of opportunity cost is just a just a tool to think about it, but um, in the mix. But as I said, that there is no kind of definitive formula to come up with the right decision, which will always give you the outcome that you are looking for. But I think it's a good tool to kind of keep it in the mix, and especially when you're trying to frame your choices, you're trying to present it to a business group or your family member or whosoever. I think it helps. And another important element is related to making bets, or you know um, really taking exceptions, and this kind of idea of really being anti-fragile, that if you tend to be anti-fragile and if you keep taking a little bit of risk, a little bit of gamble, by making some calculated moves, whether it is reversible or irreversible, then you can gain a lot of kind of positives, if you think about it, and if you start doing it. So I think it's another kind of way to look at it. I have been applying these kind of concepts and ideas in the way I make decisions, but I have got like mixed returns. And in some cases, the decisions that you make, you really need a lot of time to kind of evaluate it, whether the decision making process that you applied, whether it was successful or not. Yeah, so I'm just giving a quick run through. Think about time. Think about whether it is a strategic choice. Think about risk. Try to quantify the risk. Third one is reversible and irreversible choice. Fourth one is cost versus benefit. Fifth one is opportunity cost, and sixth one is just making a gamble and taking bets.